Welcome, folks. It is Friday, October the 10th. This is Hurricane Hub Live. I'm Chief Meteorologist Tim Pandages. Thanks for joining us here on 13 News Now Plus. Tonight on HHL, since we last spoke last night at 11 p.m., the National Hurricane Center initiated advisories on Karen, a subtropical storm in the North Atlantic. And between then and now, it's already gone post-tropical, so it's like a blip in the timeline. Jerry is still joined out there with what's left of Karen in the Atlantic basin. Aside from that, most of the basin is quiet, with the exception of a pending coastal low that'll become a pretty potent nor'easter impacting most of the U.S. East Coast this upcoming weekend into early next weekend. In the East Pac, Raymond out there. Remember yesterday there were 3 storms, Octavie, Priscilla, and Raymond. Priscilla is now post-tropical, so still technically out there, but Raymond is still a tropical storm in the eastern Pacific and pretty much scraping along the Pacific coast of Mexico. Here's a look at the basin right now. There's a lot of activity going on. This is what's going on with Jerry. Very disorganized system right now, no longer expected to become a hurricane anymore as it builds to the north. And way up there, which I'll show you in a second, is Karen, and you could barely pick it out if I didn't show you where it was on satellite imagery. All right, here's Jerry right now, 50-mile-per-hour winds as of the 5 o'clock advisory. It did scrape on by areas like Anguilla, Guadalupe area over to Barbuda over the last 24 hours. Did bring some very heavy rains. Got a tropical fetch dipping down into the Caribbean that's pulling in a lot of tropical moisture and heavy rainfall for those areas. So it was impacting land, but it's pulling away to the north-northwest right now at a pretty good clip at 15. Next up, a glancing blow, probably even just passing well to the east of Bermuda, and then it will stay out in the open Atlantic. Here's the latest track on there as of 5 o'clock. Again, not intensifying at all over the rest of its life cycle. It was expected to become a Category 2 at one point. Now not even going to get that status, staying at a 50-mile-per-hour tropical storm through Saturday into Sunday. And then over here behind where this placard is where Bermuda is. So passing by off to the east and then heading due east out into the open Atlantic. This is Karen, now post-tropical. I guess it had winds that were tropical storm force, still does apparently, at 45-mile-per-hour winds heading in the North Atlantic. I mean, that's it. Waste of a name, pretty much. There it is, moving off to the north. The 11th named storm of the season in the Atlantic basin, 45-mile-per-hour winds, post-tropical Karen. All right, let's talk about this nor'easter. We're looking at time frame for impacts here locally in Hampton Roads, Mid-Atlantic. Saturday afternoon through Monday morning. Tidal flooding going to be a big problem, not only here locally, but up and down the eastern seaboard. And generally, rainfall will be manageable, but there will be a soaking rain expected. 2 to 4 inches generally. Some areas, 5, 6 inches spread out over that time. So flooding from freshwater causes, not a huge concern. Could there be some standing water on roadway? Sure. But this isn't going to be like a excessive flooding event for most areas. Higher totals will be found right along the immediate coast, closer to where that storm center is. Moderate to major tidal flooding. Now, this is going to be a big problem. The high tide cycle Sunday midday looks to be the peak. Many gauges coming in with major tidal flooding. In fact, one local gauge, Smithfield, on the Pagan River, is forecast to be record high tidal flooding, up to around 4.9. I think the record before that is like 4.6, so they're going to go above it if it does verify that way. And 40 to 50-mile-per-hour winds, there could certainly be some higher gusts along the eastern shore of Virginia, Delmarva Peninsula, immediate Virginia Beach coastline. Could see higher 55, maybe 60-mile-per-hour winds, again, depending on how this storm evolves and how intense it gets and how close it comes to the coastline. Here's how it plays out on Futurecast modeling going into tomorrow night. We're really seeing this tighten on up. It's just off the Wilmington, North Carolina coastline, throwing a lot of moisture up and over eastern North Carolina, southeastern Virginia. Very heavy rainfall, a lot of it being the worst of it overnight Saturday and early Sunday. Jumping ahead to Sunday morning, we're starting to see that low lift towards the north, throwing all that rain and a lot of wind up into the Jersey shoreline, up into southern New England. Still rainy and windy through much of the mid-Atlantic. And here we are through Monday, still pretty much sitting over the same general area. So we've got that high pressure well to the north, blocking it from exiting quickly. So it's going to be a prolonged event here. Yeah, it will weaken gradually, but a lot of days with rain, wind, and tidal flooding looking likely. Let's talk about these winds coming onshore here for a prolonged period of time. So look at Hatteras Island here. Could see gusts over 50 miles an hour driving onshore, so not good news for the coastal erosion. These areas have just been battered so far this season, despite any direct impacts from storms. We had Aaron, we had Humberto and Imelda all traveling offshore, but really bringing damage to these areas. Numerous, dozens of homes now, I think, have fallen into the ocean down on Buxton and Hatteras Island. So the onshore flow, not good for them again. That continues up into Virginia Tidewater, Delmarva, all onshore winds, and they crank up with the arrival of that center of low pressure. And then eventually, as we get through Sunday, the winds will start to wrap back around and we'll start to see them blowing away from the coastline. So that'll kind of drain the Chesapeake Bay, and a lot of the rivers there, lower water levels will be likely. All right, rainfall totals again, mostly 2 to 4 inches. Some spots, Delmarva, Eastern Shore, Virginia, 4, 5, maybe 6 inches of rain overall by the time all is said and done. All right, out in the Eastern Pacific, we've got what's left of Priscilla. This is what was left of Octavie, and then we've got Raymond still churning there. Track on Raymond takes it off to the north. Still a tropical storm, maybe making landfall as a tropical storm in the Baja Sur, California, and then lifting north. Maybe if it holds together, some of that tropical moisture making it up into the desert southwest of the U.S. No real changes here since Jerry is not going to become a hurricane. We're going to stay at 4. 10 named storms, 3 majors, 17 now up in the Eastern Pacific with the addition of Raymond yesterday. 9 hurricanes and 3 major ones there. All right, folks, that's the latest here on the tropics. A big concern will be that nor'easter this weekend along the eastern seaboard. Coming up after a quick break, we've got an anniversary today of Hurricane Michael. 7-year anniversary, came ashore in 2018. We'll look back at that when we see you after a quick break. Welcome back to Hurricane Hub Live. Tonight, we take you back to one of the most powerful and devastating storms to slam into the Florida Panhandle as a catastrophic Category 5 hurricane. We're talking about Hurricane Michael that made landfall on this date in 2018. According to the National Weather Service, based on wind speed, Hurricane Michael was the 4th most intense hurricane to make landfall in the United States. Nia Campbell shares more on the devastating storm.
In 2018, Hurricane Michael started as a weak October tropical system. After a 2-day-long intensification period over the eastern Gulf, Michael made landfall near Florida's Tyndall Air Force Base with maximum sustained wind speeds of 161 miles per hour. The unprecedented Category 5 hurricane left a trail of devastation, from Panama City Beach to Mexico Beach and Cape San Blas. Entire communities along the coast were torn apart by wind and deadly storm surge. The threat didn't stop at the Florida Panhandle. Hurricane Michael curved inland at a Category 3 strength, creating a path of destruction deep into Georgia. The storm eventually weakened as it moved through the Carolinas and Virginia. Michael claimed dozens of lives, including 5 people in Virginia. According to the Associated Press, 4 of those people died from drowning, and the 5th death was a Hanover County firefighter. A tractor-trailer slammed into his fire truck as he responded to a 2-vehicle crash on wet roads amid heavy storm conditions and flooding. Hurricane Michael caused approximately $25 billion in damage across the United States, with Florida sustaining approximately $18 billion in losses. Property and infrastructure damage were the leading factors in the high cost. Based on minimum pressure, Michael is ranked as the 4th most powerful hurricane to hit the United States and the strongest storm to hit the Florida Panhandle in recorded history.
That was Nia Campbell reporting. All right, that's the latest on the tropics, folks. Hope you have a great weekend. We'll see you again on Monday on Hurricane Hub Live at 8 p.m.